Welcome back, everybody. We have a great week of college football upon us, and one of those matchups during this week is Texas going into Georgia, a huge SEC battle, and one that has huge playoff implications, not only for Texas, but a little bit for Georgia as well. I mean, Texas can't lose this game at all. They have to win out, and they've been put in that situation because they lost to Florida, which, looking back on that, is just a horrible loss. But we'll move on from that. But if they do win out, that's very impressive considering they've got they're going into Georgia, and then I forget who they have next. I think they have Samford next week, and then I believe they go into Texas Tech. You got it pulled up?
Texas goes Arkansas after this, then Texas A&M to finish out the season.
So not an easy schedule at all to finish. So be looking for that. And then Georgia, like I said, is in the playoffs right now. They're ranked 5th. With one loss. Even if they have another loss, they're probably fine. It's just the implications they're facing as SEC championships, because this is their last SEC game, believe it or not, which is crazy.
They do play Georgia Tech at the last game of the year, and they're ranked 17th right now.
Yes, but that doesn't have any SEC implications.
True.
That would have playoff implications, which hopefully they'd win that. I believe that's at home.
That's on the road.
Okay, on the road. Maybe a little bit of an upset.
I believe.
So anyway, let's get into this matchup alone. Just going into it, what do you guys think about this?
I'll be excited to see how Texas and Sark come off the bye. Coming off a good win against Vandy, much needed. If they lost to Vandy, their season was over, and they still have hope. They kind of control their own destiny, but at the same time, they need some help. But with the 12-team playoff, if they win out, they're in. I'm not sure where they are in the SEC standings, so I don't know if they'll really be able to contend. I think they should be able to contend for the SEC championship. We'll see what it looks like right now. It could be Ole Miss and A&M. But, yes, Texas basically controls their own destiny to get into the playoffs. And I'd say maybe even the same for the SEC championship. But, yes, this is probably the biggest game Texas has played all year.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, this is the biggest game they played implication-wise. And I think that this Texas team has done a great job rallying after their rough losses week 1 against Ohio State, only putting up 7 points, and then losing to Florida later on in the season. I think this shows a lot about their team and what they're made for, and I think if they do end up winning this game, I think it will just be a true statement of just who they are as a team. And then this Georgia team, they can afford to lose this game. You know, like we've all seen, two losses with good wins will get you into this college football playoff, and I think they're in the position to do that if they do go on the road and beat Georgia Tech at the end of the season. But
Good game there.
for sure, and especially this year, just the Georgia Tech team has kind of been elevated from what they've been before. But yeah, I think it'll be fun to see what these two teams are made of, and it will really show who's built for college football playoff.
Yeah, Texas has been in playoff mode since losing that game to Florida. They're surviving and advancing, which is all you can ask. They had a few rough weeks. They're rebounding from the Florida loss. They went to Kentucky and had to win in OT, and then played Mississippi State and also had to win in OT. But then they had that great game against Vandy, and now we're sitting here and they have a legit chance to get into this 12-team playoff. And not to mention, Arch is playing some of his best football all year long against Mississippi State. He went for 346, 63% completion, and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. And then against Vandy, which is even more impressive, he went for 328 yards, 76 completion percentage, which is fantastic, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. So not only is Texas surviving and advancing, it seems like their offense is finally coming into form, which in this day and age of college football, who cares what happens early in the season? As long as you're peaking at the right time, which is middle to late October, you're going to be just all right. So I think go ahead.
This seems like a Notre Dame team from last year where they lost. You know, they lost to a good team, and then they lost to a not-so-good team. Obviously, Texas didn't lose to NIU.
Yeah.
But they lost to basically the NIU of the SEC. And so...
Which is crazy that Florida's in that.
It's crazy to say, but it's true. And so could we see maybe that they've been in playoff mode since they lost to Florida, really since they lost to Ohio State. And so I think it might benefit them through the rest of the season and into the postseason if they make it that far, like it did to Notre Dame last year.
Yeah, and like these guys have said, that Texas has been playing close games, that they know how to win the close game, and that's very important sometimes. But at the same token, Georgia's not exactly pounding teams. Like, they're winning convincingly sometimes. Like, they only beat Kentucky by 15. They only beat Auburn by 10. They did beat Ole Miss by a good amount. They beat them by 8, which is kind of a lot for that close of a matchup. Only beat Florida by 4, and then they did separate themselves from Texas, beating Mississippi State by 20. So, score-wise and just based off the eye test, I would say, of those games, I think these two teams are pretty similar. Obviously, Georgia's looked better throughout the year, but I think Texas is I think Georgia's here and Texas is just right here. I think Texas is looking to make that strive.
Yeah, I think obviously by what you said, Kentucky either needs to be given some more respect, or they're just an underdog that thrives on that in the SEC. But I do think that they're very similar teams. I mean, if Texas doesn't lose to Florida, we're sitting here thinking this is a matchup that could be going either way, and they're probably sitting here as the 5 and 6 seed. Let's be honest. Yeah, because that's really what's separating these two teams is that Florida loss. And then moving into just the matchup details. So Georgia has been good on offense all year long, but they're facing a Texas defense that is 11th in total yards allowed per game. However, this is unbelievable to me. They're 96th best in the air, which is insane, and that's what Georgia loves to do is to throw the ball. And they are second overall in rushing. So I don't know how well this defense is going to do against this Georgia team with them being obviously pass heavy. I mean, I think they have 1,000 more yards in the air than they do rushing, which is fair. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like they've got a great matchup against this Texas team here.
Yeah, I think basically what you just said solidified my thought of it's going to be a defensive battle. Last few weeks, Texas's offense has been in a groove. They weren't early in the season, but they now are, with Arch throwing over 300 yards the past 2 games, I believe. And then obviously Georgia's offense is good as always. So I think it's basically a defensive game. I think for Texas it needs to be a low-scoring game. I think if it's a 30-plus point game from each side, I think Georgia ends up coming out on top. Yeah. So I think if Texas needs to limit the scoring on both sides, really.
Yeah, and I think these Georgia fans are very happy with Gunnar Stockton. Recently they've had to deal with Carson Beck, and the problem with him was he would just not take care of the ball. And Gunnar Stockton's only thrown 2 interceptions this whole year. You would like to see him be a little more explosive with only 15 touchdowns, but I mean that's a pretty good ratio. Whereas Arch Manning has 18 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, so he's a little more loose with the ball. But and I think that's a big key in these tight games is whether or not your quarterback can make a play down the stretch. And I think the quarterback play is going to separate this game. I think it's going to be whoever wins the quarterback battle.
Yeah, I think just to wrap up all the thoughts, Gunnar Stockton has been great for Georgia this year, and I think that's really why they are in the position they are. They've had those close games, and like he just pointed out, if you have a quarterback that can't do something down the stretch, then you're not going to win those close games. It also kind of brings into the question of is Georgia's game plan to get down the field by throwing but score by running? And if that's the case, then we're in store for a great battle all 4 quarters with how Texas's defense is lined up. And let's just hope that Kirby Smart doesn't plan to run the ball the whole time, because the stats are going to show you that that's not going to work, or they just haven't faced a running back like Georgia has if he's just an under-the-radar guy. But they did have to face Ohio State's running backs, which at the time weren't as great as they were now or are now, but still had to face them. So let's go in the order of what you guys got for this score.
Just to shake things up, I want Texas to win, so I'm going to pick.
Who doesn't like madness?
I mean, I want to see a bunch of teams at 2 losses headed into. I want right now it looks like there's going to be 10 teams 2 losses by the end of the year,
which is insane.
Yeah, I think Georgia's gonna take this one. Just is the game at Georgia? Or
it is at Georgia.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the big key here. I think also just I'm not a big fan of Arch coming down the stretch. I hope he proves me wrong, but I do think Gunnar is gonna end up winning the quarterback battle. I think it's gonna be low. I think it's gonna be 27-21 Georgia though.
I mean, it's gonna be a fantastic atmosphere. 7:30 Sanford Stadium. I think the capacity is around like 80,000, and you better believe there's going to be 80,000 people there. And so, yeah, I don't see any way that Georgia loses this. I wouldn't be shocked if Texas wins this, but
It would be an impressive win.
very impressive. And the fact that it still doesn't even solidify them in the playoffs is crazy. But I think Georgia wins this game 28-17.
I think, I agree with both what you said, but I don't think no matter who wins this game, they're not guaranteed.
No.
Like Georgia wins this game, they still have at least Georgia Tech left on the schedule. So it's not like it's this game and they coast. They both have a tough schedule coming in regardless of what happens in this game.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all we have for you guys. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys for all the support. We've had a lot of videos go out this week, and we just thank you guys all for watching them all. And we still have one more coming out after this. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.